inaugural season of GT America, powered by AWS, rolls into its final weekend. 2 races remain here at the famed Brickyard at the corner of 16th and Georgetown in Indianapolis, Indiana. Sprint racing with GT3 and GT4 cars over 40 minutes. Single driver class format, and 2 races left to settle championships in both classes, and a perfect place to do so. Hello everyone, welcome to the racing capital of the world. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish joins me in the broadcast booth, and Amanda Busick is in the pit lane. Great weekend of racing already here, Calvin, and now race 1 for GT America, powered by AWS, with championships on the line. Just 80 minutes of racing left in this inaugural season.
Yeah, certainly getting very tight in both championships. Lots to play for here. Track is in great condition. A little bit wet earlier in the day, but dried out and cooling off. Should be really fast conditions tonight.
Standing down on the grid is our pit reporter, Amanda Busick. Good afternoon, Amanda.
Hey guys, I can tell you the chill is in the air here, so I'm excited to see how fast these cars are going to be here at Indianapolis. But you know, we are coming off the race in Sebring, and while it wasn't for points, it was for pride, and for no one more so than Jason Bell, as you can see him behind us. 1 and 2 in the points. Jason, number 2, you have the car over there, the BMW, Sean Quinlan, number 1, so you know this battle is going to heat up here today. But as we walk further down this grid, you got to come off the weekend here that Sebring had of Memo Gidley. He had his first professional win since 2004, so you can imagine what a memorable weekend it was for him. But the return of Brendan Arieb is here, right here on the front row. We have Brendan joining us here this weekend. This car will also take place in the 8-hour race, but you'll remember he comes off of that win in Virginia, already here on the pole. I imagine great things out of Brendan here on this race.
Great to have Brendan Arieb and the Inception Racing crew back on the grid. They will start from the pole position. Brendan has started 4 races in this championship this season, 3 podiums, 2 wins. He's been a factor every time he showed up.
Yeah, he's certainly very quick. We haven't seen them since VIR, where they had the incident earlier in the weekend, had to get that car from north of the border down, and but rebounded nicely and got another victory that day. So he's always in the mix for a victory, and this is great track time for him, preparing for the 8-hour here in a couple of days.
This is the Memo Gidley-driven TKO Motorsports Bentley Continental GT3. Yes, it was not a points-paying race for this championship down in Sebring 2 weeks ago, but it was hard to find a dry eye in victory lane as Memo Gidley pulled into the victory circle for the first time in so long, as Amanda chronicled.
Yeah, it was a sweet weekend for him. As you said, it was pretty emotional. The long journey back, the kind of determination that Memo displays to fight forward, even though he was thrown a very big curveball in his career many years ago at the Rolex 24.
It's been a fun season of GT America, powered by AWS Racing, and we've talked about it several times. It's a throwback in many respects to the heritage of this championship back in the Pirelli World Challenge days or the Speed Vision Challenge days, whatever the case may be, with single driver sprint racing and mixed class as well, with GT3 and GT4 sharing the track together. And that equation has led to some really exciting racing throughout the course of the season, Calvin.
It really has. It's a great kind of dynamic, particularly a little bit deeper in the race when some of the GT3 cars will kind of overlap the GT4s. But a great battle going on. Sean Quinlan, despite seeing victory lane 6 times this year, only has a 15-point lead over Jason Bell, and Jason Bell is the driver that has all of the momentum right now. Swept the weekend at the last point scoring opportunity at Watkins Glen, had another win at Sebring, even though it didn't pay points. He's on a high right now, and he's got a lot of confidence going with that Aston Martin.
And you'll recall his victory lane interview there in Sebring. He said, "This doesn't pay points, but I think I'm in Sean Quinlan's head right now." That's what Jason Bell thinks. We'll see if that bears any fruit in the race here today. But you're right, you look at the last 4 points paying events for Jason, all of them on the podium, 2 of them wins at Watkins Glen about a month or so ago. Should be a good battle as well a little bit further down in the running order in GT4. That 3rd place spot, 4th place, 5th place, they're all pretty tight there too.
Certainly is a great battle. Rob Holland currently holds down that 3rd position with 148 points. Alex Welsh, who's had a win this year with the ORTR racing team, is in the mix. So lots of places still to be determined in the overall championships here.
And 2 races with which to do it. Again, 40 minutes in duration. the field pulling out onto the track, but you see some drama here. This is unexpected. To the left of the screen, that is Memo Gidley's TKO Motorsports Bentley with apparent problems. That car should be headed out on the formation laps, and instead it looks like checking tire pressure on the left rear here in the pit lane.
It's bizarre. I'm not sure if the telemetry has given them a reading that determined they are a little bit low, or whether just because of the track conditions they want to pump those up. But because the whole field has taken off, I don't believe he can reassume his original starting position, so he'll be at the back of the field, I believe.
Keep an eye on what the formation looks like as we get closer to the start of the race. But you look at Brendan Arib starting on pole. Charlie Luck will be alongside. And Charlie, in many respects, has been the story of the season. Came in with his focus being on the Masters class for GT3 drivers 55 and older, but quickly he emerged as a contender for the overall championship.
He has, and he's another driver that has a ton of confidence, but let's not forget Jeff Burton. He sits only 18 points back of Charlie in this championship. The big concern, I spoke to Jeff yesterday, they've been having a few technical issues with his race car, but if the car is healthy, look for him to put up a fight here for these final 2 rounds of the championship.
And we're looking around at some of the different championship contenders in this field of 18 cars that are set to start, and talk around the paddock already about the 2022 season. And by all accounts, there is great optimism for a massive grid in this series next year. A lot of growth between both the GT3 and GT4 categories. Here's another man driving with a lot of confidence right now, Jeff Burton from Reardon Racing.
Yeah, he certainly loves this Lamborghini that they've switched to for this year, but as he said, they've been having an issue making sure this thing is on full song. So he said, I don't know, we've got the Lamborghini engineers here, team is working hard. He has Vesko Kozrov, who he co-drives that car with, one of the sharper brains in this paddock trying to figure things out. So that will really be the key to his performance today.
18 points behind Charlie Luck in that overall championship picture here at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This place has put on great racing throughout the course of the day. This particular configuration, 2.59 miles, 14 turns, and a slightly different configuration, Calvin, than we've seen in years past. Brendan Arib and Charlie Luck will start on the front row of this grid. We'll run through the starting lineup here now. Second row was supposed to be Memo Gidley and Jeff Burton, but we had the issues there for Memo in the pit lane early on. We'll see where he does ultimately start from. Back to the qualifying order, though. Andy Wilczak, who has an overall win under his belt earlier this season at Road America, will start 5th, with Kyle Washington from GMG Racing alongside Sean Quinlan and Jason Bell, the top 2 in GT4 points. They'll share the front row in that class, starting 7th and 8th overall. Matt Rivard, very impressive in qualifying in the Dexter Racing Ginetta 56. That is the brand new GT4 car from Ginetta that made its debut a couple of events ago. Best qualifying effort so far for Matt Rivard, starting 3rd, with Scott Noble alongside. Gray Newell and Rob Holland make up as we close in on the start of the race here this afternoon, and the second to last race of the championship here, Calvin. A lot on the line for not just those racing for a title, but also everyone in this field wants to win, especially here.
Yeah, it's a hallowed ground here at Indianapolis, and you look at the schedule for the season and you kind of underline certain events where you really want to do well at. Sebring, we come off that iconic venue at the last round. It wasn't for championship points, however. This one is, so you got championships on the line, you're running at Indy, and it's a great tale to tell, even later in life, that you won at Indianapolis. There's a lot of drivers in this field who would love to get that done here this afternoon.
As we said earlier, great to have Brendan Arib and that McLaren 720S GT3 that made its SRO America debut earlier this year at Circuit of the Americas. That car right there at the front of the field, that will be the pole sitter. Important track time here for Brendan, because as important as these races are to him, he's preparing for an effort in the Intercontinental GT Challenge powered by Pirelli race, the Indianapolis 8-hour coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, and I think that's why this class in this championship has been so well supported and looking even greater for next year, because teams recognize it's really great, valuable track time. It's another race on the weekend, but most importantly, gets the cars in the lane and into the rhythm for the big race on the weekend.
The field sort of straggling to the start. Still a little bit of time to come into order, with Erebe to the left of the screen, Charlie Luck, the championship leader, to the right, coming towards the green flag. I'm not sure it was displayed. I think they waved off the start here, Calvin, because that field was not totally formed up back in turn 14. We'll see if that is indeed the case. For now, though, they continue to go towards turn 1. Luck sleeping around the outside of Erebe, but now it does look like the speed has been arrested, and we will try this again.
Yeah, it was looking a little bit ugly there as they came through 14, too much spacing, and then it looked like Charlie went and Brendan didn't, so I think the starter made the wise decision. But sometimes when you get a wave off, not everyone is getting the message and everyone's kind of in go mode, so thankfully no one got it wrong there.
That is a relief. Now the clock will start on the waved off green flag. We've seen this in a couple of races, not just in this championship, but across the board this year. So a little bit less time to work with. These races already are quite short, just 40 minutes in duration. And this extra formation lap essentially will wipe away another couple of minutes at least.
Yeah, and that should just ramp up the intensity. And meanwhile, we've got to get this field kind of arrested here a little bit in terms of the speed. You got the front two of Erebe and Luck kind of gap the rest of the field here. So they need to pack up in a hurry. Otherwise, we're going to lose a few more minutes out of that 40-minute window.
I mentioned that Brendan Erebe hasn't been racing here since the round at VIR back in June, but he's still been busy with programs over in Europe, including at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, as well as GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup. He raced at the Total Energies 24 Hours of Spa. And he'll be on pole here as we get ready to go again, but I would say that still, there's a big gap between this front row and the rest of the field. They're really going to have to slow up to let everybody else get back into the frame and hopefully not come piling in too fast from behind.
Yeah, that middle of the pack there is still a long ways away in terms of the gap. Starting to form a little bit better now as we come through 14. Might be good to go.
It did look like Memo Gidley will be starting at the back of this field, so a couple of GT3 cars towards the back, 4 of them in total. That'll be interesting to watch them work through the GT4 field, and it will happen quickly as the green flag flies now for the first time. 37 minutes on the clock. Here we go. The long run down into the twilight, turn number 1 at IMS.
Key is going to be feeling the grip here and not getting in here too deep. Got a couple of really fast cars at the back of the pack. Jeff Burton cutting through some of that GT4 cars quickly. You can see him there, middle of the pack. The 91 Lamborghini, the black and red car right there, just behind the blue car of Gumprecht.
That is a GT3 car in amongst the GT4 cars, trying to sweep around the outside. Was able to clear the Mustang of Rob Holland up towards the front of the field. Great start there from Jason Bell. That's exactly what he was looking for. He has cleared Sean Quinlan and taken the class lead, and the battle is on for second and third, but this is Matt Rivard off into the gravel trap in that Ginetta we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and he may be beached. I'm not sure he's going to be moving, so everyone will try and make a few positions here before we get the call to see if we stay green flag racing here. This is coming down Hulman Boulevard. You can see to the right of the screen there, that's Memo Gidley aboard that TKA Motorsports Bentley. Cut through half the field in short order.
Particular part of the racetrack as we go safety car conditions once again at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the stranded car of Matt Rivard, who had that great qualifying effort to put the Dexter Racing entry third in the GT4 field.
It's exactly what Memo Gidley needed, actually. After the problem on pit lane, adjusting those tire pressures, had to start at the back, so he's cut his way halfway through the field. Now the field is compressed once again, so you can almost see the leader from there. And that'll be an interesting battle to see him coming through this field here. Beautiful
new car, the Ginetta G56. The G55 campaigned with a great deal of regularity over the last 3 or 4 seasons, including with this Dexter Racing team. Let's look and see if we can figure out what happened.
Oh yeah, he just gets elbowed out there as they turn into turn 3, 4 area.
I believe that might have been Thomas Sargent in the McLaren that made the side-to-side contact with Matt, sent him off into the grass and ultimately the gravel. But there's been a lot of development done on this car, this GT4 platform. The initial Ginetta was really good through the tight, twisty corners, but struggled with straight line speed, and they've tried to build a bit more of that into this platform, and everybody I've talked to has driven it has had rave reviews.
Yeah, it's always been a great handling car, and it's certainly more refined with the latest addition here, but this is kind of really hurts him. If he could have jumped out there and stayed on that lead lap, would have been critical for him getting a result here today. So now he's a lap down to the field.
How about that start from this man, Jason Bell, qualified second, right alongside the man he needs to beat if he's going to stay in the championship hunt, Sean Quinlan, and he got the jump there at the start and started to pull away. I'm not sure this safety car was what he wanted to see.
No, but he's got the track position. He's got the momentum in terms of the season at this point in the year. The Aston Martin is handling really well. And it's such a defining moment when he suddenly broke through and got those victories. He'd been in position before, and he seemed to get in his own way, and he admits that. The pressure would get to him late in the going, even after he had the lead. And finally, with that first win, it's like the weight has come off his shoulders, and he's driving so much better, so much more consistently. He's not making those critical little mistakes late in the going.
While we're under the safety car, let's hear more from pit lane and Amanda.
Well, James Sempronis has been a huge supporter of GT America since its inception, and one of your drivers could lead the GT4 class of this class. Well, how was Jason this morning before he fielded this car?
Well, you know Jason, he's full of excitement, and we love having him on the team. This GT America Championship in GT4 mean a lot to him, so he's really worked hard. He's obviously running in the Sprint X, so he's really put the effort in to get to the front. And so it'll be a nice battle with him and Quinlan. It was nice that he took the lead in the class on the start. And I gave him a little fist bump. I said, go get it, this is yours. So here we go, we're back to green.
James Sempronis called it. The green flag back out once again. 33 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock as it flies. And Brendan Arieb with a great restart. Same can be said for Jason Bell, able to leg out Sean Quinlan. Here comes Memo Gidley up the inside. He now has only one GT4 car to clear before he catches the front of the GT3 field.
Yeah, and that's massive for him. So he had to wait until the start-finish line. On a restart, you're not allowed to pass immediately it goes green. You got to wait for the stripe. So he had to show a little bit of patience there. Otherwise, you're going to get the call to pit lane. But now he's just got clear road ahead of him. Let's see what sort of lap times he can cut compared to the leaders.
Well, the good news for Memo is that yard of bricks. The start-finish line, off for
super
Burton.
deep.
Needs to keep it moving, or else he'll be beached just like Rivard was. Keeps those wheels spinning, and full compliments to Jeff Burton. He was able to get out of that conundrum.
Yeah, just turned in there a little bit late. That was turn 6, just caught the slide, but then ran out of room. But he did exactly the right thing, just kept that momentum, kept it rolling. Side by side here with Gray Newell. He takes that position away from Quinlan down in turn 7.
And there are championship implications there. That's, what is it, 3 fewer points for Quinlan?
It is. There's a 10-point swing right now. So coming into this race, Bell was only 15 behind. And as they sit right now, that would be down to 5 going to tomorrow.
Still a long way to go, but that shows some of the moxie that has started to emerge in Gray Newell's game. He has come on strong in the second half of this season under the tutelage of Ian James. Has the benefit of having raced already here today in Pirelli GT4 America. Memo Gidley has caught the back of the GT3 field after being forced to start from the rear. Problems on the pit lane, leaving to go to the formation lap, and Memo has cleared the GT4 traffic, moving to the inside of Andy Wilczek, and gets that position as well.
Yeah, he's bringing the thunder right now. You can hear that big Bentley reverberating amongst the grandstands here on the front straightaway. That's his Flying Lizard teammates, so they work together here on the race weekends with the TKA Motorsports. Bentley working alongside the Flying Lizard Motorsport team. Up front, Brendan Arieb, as we expected after his pole lap. Displaying the similar sort of pace here in the opening run.
Just set the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race, albeit haven't had that many green flag laps so far, but a 137.6. That is substantially quicker than anything anyone else has mustered at this stage. Charlie Luck, though, running a nice, solid second overall, the leader in the Masters division. But he's got Kyle Washington coming behind, and Kyle Washington, another one who's come on strong as the year has progressed.
It really has, and we've had 7 different winners in this category so far this year. Kyle Washington is not one of those 7, so he can maybe add to that number on a very strong opening stint here, putting the pressure on Charlie.
2 very strong Porsche teams here with Wright Motorsports and Charlie Luck. GMG, which is not exclusively a Porsche operation, but has long history with that manufacturer, going toe-to-toe. GT4, actually that's a GT2 car coming through. The lone GT2 car in the field, Elias Sabo clearing Sean Quinlan. That does not affect the points situation, however, as they are not in the same class.
And that is quite the hot rod right there. Massive horsepower compared to the rest of the field. More horsepower than a GT3 car, but a lot less downforce. So coming through corners like this, turn 14, he doesn't have the grip and kind of sticking that car to the road. But once he gets to that straightaway, watch him unleash this power.
Hope to see more GT2 cars coming in the future. I have to believe that down the long straightaways here at Indy, that would be a blast to pilot. And Elias Sabo has also made his way around Gray Newell as well.
This is really a kind of a point and squirt kind of race car. You just want to get in a straight line as soon as you can, and then unleash all of that power. Superb looking car. This is the Audi, of course. So some Porsches here last season.
Elias had a big crash on the streets of Nashville earlier this season that cost him his initial GT2 chassis. They sourced this spare, spent some time testing it, making sure it's up to speed, and has made his return to the championship starting in the last round at Sebring. Down to the pit lane again.
Just a little quick update on Rob Holland. You know, he's had the lone Mustang here in this series this season. He is going to have a chassis switch next year, not to break the news for him on who that manufacturer will be, but really wanted to increase the speed as they head into the next season. But another thing that he's working on is he has a high school program that he's going to be working closely with next season, bringing kids out to the track, showing there's a filter system from high school to automotive, not just as a driver, but hey, you can be a mechanic, you can work in this industry. Maybe it's on the PR side, maybe it's in broadcasting. But Rob Holland, third in the points in this weekend, said the high for him this season was the win in Sonoma.
It's a cool program that Rob's put together. He's been racing in Europe primarily for quite a while. This is again Jeff Burton GT3 car coming through on the GT4 car of Gray Newell. But he's got a shop there at the Nürburgring. They've done a lot of racing at the Nordschleife over the years. Hasn't done much racing here in the States, even though that's where he comes from. But this has been a really good program for him in that Mustang. But I have been hearing for a while they're looking at a different platform for next year as they continue to grow that operation.
Sean Quinlan there just ahead of Sargent, so that's a nice little battle for the final podium in GT4, and all of those positions are vital to Jason Bell in terms of catching Sean Quinlan in this championship chase. As we said earlier, it's a 10-point swing as they run right now, with only a 15-point lead for this driver.
Had a chat with Sean earlier in the weekend and asked him how comfortable he was feeling, and I thought he might be a bit more comfortable than he expressed. He was really hedging everything he said. Every statement was followed up with, well, we still have to go out and do it. We haven't won this championship yet, and you could see why. Anything can happen in this sport, and this has been a front-running car all throughout the season. It's a bit strange to see him on the back foot running down in third and coming under pressure, it appears, for that position.
Yeah, it really is. And I tell you what, Jason Bell's lead is not safe. Gray Newell is running lap times just a fraction quicker than him, so he's only got a 3-second gap right now. So Jason Bell cannot afford to relax. He's got the track position, but still a long time on this clock for that heart of racing driver, Gray Newell, to maybe try and catch him and make a move for the lead.
This is CJ Moses, GT3 spec car from DXDT Racing. Haven't seen him in the paddock since the street course race at Nashville. But great to have him back. Crown Strike livery on that machine. Making his way through the GT4 contenders at the moment.
Had a disrupted season, missed some events because of kidney stones. I know how that feels. It's not pleasant. So good to see him back, though. Really made a big charge up through the various categories in the SRO ladder.
Here we go, front of the field, Brendan Iribe now leads by 4.1 seconds and keeps turning in fastest lap after fastest lap. That last one, a 1:37.1. Charlie Luck runs behind, about 4 seconds adrift. However, he has been picking up his pace, just set his fastest lap of the race, a 1:37.9, some 0.8 of a second off of what we just saw the last lap from Brendan Iribe. This is Charlie and the Wright Motorsports entry. Leader, not just in the Masters class points, but in the overall title hunt as well.
And he's gapping Kyle Washington, who still sits in that third position. You just saw him come into the frame. So here's Charlie coming through turn 12. There's Kyle Washington right behind him. And Gidley is cutting fast laps, but only really matching the pace of Charlie Luck and a few tenths, maybe half a second or more off the overall leader, Brendan Arieb.
Kyle Washington, as you said, Calvin, running third overall in Porsche, but he's going to be contending very soon with this Bentley. TKO Motorsports, the team. Memo Gidley, longtime open-wheel driver turned sports car racer, finally broke through with those big wins at Sebring 2 weeks ago. Long time in recovery after a horrific accident in the 24 Hours of Daytona about a decade ago.
Memo said he spent many years living here in Indy when he was trying to find his way into big-time single-seater race cars. Used to sleep on his buddy's floor at times just to find a roof over his head in terms of didn't have a lot of money to play with and just looking for any opportunity he could. So Memo certainly paid the price early in his career of giving everything that it takes to get to the top levels. He ran for a bunch of IndyCar teams, including Chip Ganassi Racing, who, of course, have had so much success here at the Indy 500. Big career behind him, and it's great to see it revitalized here late in the going.
And for Memo, he spent much of that open-wheel career on the other side of the open-wheel split, so he didn't get many good chances to race here at Indy. He did try to qualify a couple of times, but never made the field of 33, so I have to believe getting this chance to run here, albeit on the road course, is
big
something
run.
special for him. He does get that big run coming up onto the banking once again. This is turn 12, right-hander down to the inside, and he makes the pass.
Yeah, you had to feel that one out. You come through there and kind of, because of the acceleration that you have with that Bentley, it's really needing to use a little bit more radius there, but you had to slow it down and tuck it to the inside. I think Kyle made the wise decision there and giving up a little bit of room. David made the clean pass.
That is for the third position overall, so that puts Memo Gidley on the podium at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Great to see the Bentley back. This program came online rather late in the season. Here's the Zalus Motorsports car. You can't miss this one. Brightly colored with the fun new Bullicorn as their mascot. And Jason Harward just getting better and better as the year goes along.
And he's been getting a lot of seat time. Actually did the Sprint X race yesterday with Ty Isaac, the team manager there, just to learn the racetrack a little bit better.
23 minutes remaining. Time for an update from the pits with Amanda.
Well, Ryan, we're aside Ollie Milroy, Brendan Arieb's teammate in the upcoming 8-hour, but also a driver coach for Brendan. And when you look at Brendan already having like I believe it's over a 16-second gap on the field here, what impresses you about Brendan?
Yeah, he's doing a really solid job. You know, it's still only his second year of GT3 racing, so he's relatively inexperienced compared to some of these guys who've been doing it for 10 years, but got a pretty intense program in the US and in Europe, and he's really progressing a lot now. You know, he's had a lot of experience this year. We raced at Le Mans, GT World Challenge America, GT World Challenge Endurance in Europe and stuff like that. So, and he's really sort of taken it on really well. And you can kind of see like the maturity in his driving now, and the experience is starting to get there and starting to show in the results. So.
Well, you'll be competing on Sunday as well. What do you anticipate for the 8-hour?
So far, so good. We were quickest in Pro-Am today in the free practice. I think we were 4th in yesterday's practice session as well in Pro-Am. So, you know what endurance racing's like though. An 8-hour race is a proper race. A lot can happen. We've just got a number one thing is stay out of trouble. And then, yeah, our pace looks good, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes in qualifying tomorrow, and then set us up for the race on Sunday. We're really looking forward to it. It's great to be here as well. So really cool place. Thank you.
Ollie's awfully rapid behind the wheel. He's been impressive when we've seen him in GT World Challenge America. During the interview, you saw Matt Rivard facing the wrong direction and the wheels spinning in the wet grass. We've had quite a bit of rain intermittently throughout the day, but the good news is it sounds like he's been able to pull away, so we should stay under green. But how impressive has Brendan Arieb and Ollie Milroy as well been in the limited chances we've had to see them?
Well, they've been super quick, come onto the scene very rapidly with the opening rounds of the championship. But I think when you have someone like Ollie Milroy has a ton of experience, it's the ideal situation for someone like Brendan to learn from, have that sponge in terms of Brendan just soaking up all of the information and kind of fast tracking his way to learning the tools of the trade. and getting the results immediately. But he's not afraid to get on it, as we've seen here today, and they're looking forward to a big weekend here with the AAL coming up on Sunday.
Jason Bell, leader in GT4, he's been on that same fast track as well as a driver who pursued racing in his youth, did some karting, a little bit of single-seater stuff as well at the club level and at the junior stages of professional open-wheel racing, but then went and pursued a business career that's now allowed him to get back into the sport, and he has been learning at the feet of Andrew Davis. It's been a big, big point of improvement for him, working with Andrew, currently leading this race and clawing into Sean Quinlan's championship advantage.
Thomas Surgeon there running in the 4th position. He's dropped back a little bit. Seems like Sean Quinlan has found a little bit of pace. Behind Surgeon comes Noble here, aboard the NOLA Sport entry. Number 49, Porsche Cayman. Top-notch squad this. Boy, do they turn out some fast race cars. Won the Pro-Am Championship in GT4 Sprint X competition this year with Matt Travis and Jason Hart. Just really good engineering squad with that team.
They were the AM champions last year as well as the Pro-Am runners-up going back to the 2020 season. It was a great year for Sean Gibbons and Zach Anderson last year. It's good to see Zach around the program. He's not been driving in this series this year, but trying to work on a program, it sounds like. He was kind of the breakout star last year, and we've seen a few of those this season too.
Yeah, I hope to see Zach back, because he did such a great job last year winning that championship with Sean, and didn't get the opportunity this year, but boy, was he quick.
Just past the halfway mark here in this 40-minute race, second to last event of the season, with the finale coming up tomorrow. Look at that NOLA Sport entry we've been talking about. Really good Porsche prep team. Always seem to turn out good-looking race cars that are fast. And they've expanded quite a bit. They've had some weekends where they were running 3 or 4 programs, maybe even 5 on one instance. And it never seems like they're stretched too thin, which is impressive.
It really is with a lot of these top-notch squads like GMG. Same thing with James Sophonis. We had a chat with him earlier in the race, who kind of spearheads Jason Bell's effort, along with some of the drivers in the GT3 class as well, including Kyle Washington. So they have that ability, and I think the key is having a leader who's not afraid to compromise their own racing like James Sophonis does to really fulfill all of the customers' needs.
We talked about the McLaren 720S GT3. That's the leader overall with Brendan DeReeve. This is the GT4, McLaren 570S GT4.
So many cool manufacturers represented in this class here, and these are basically street cars, right? You can go to your showroom and buy one, or there's sort of like the cars that you see on posters in a young boy or young girl's bedroom. Problems for Memo Gidley here, slowing on the racetrack. This is down Holman Boulevard, exiting turn 6A.
Must have happened just on this lap, because his last lap was right on pace with what Charlie Luck had done as well. But not something is amiss. And remember, we saw this car have issues even before the start of the race.
Yeah, I don't think that was technically related to the running of the car. This sounds like it's a bit off song versus, I don't know if they just forgot to bleed the tires down.
Might be a case that the hood isn't totally latched. Let's look. It does seem, yeah, I think that is true. Look at the
left rear has come up, yes. So maybe it's coming up at speed, and he doesn't want to drive any higher speed. Otherwise, he'd be blinded.
You're getting the bear bond ready.
Maybe it came up on him, and he's just like, I'm not going to run at speed where I can't see where I'm going.
And that's a prudent choice from the veteran driver. Live to race again tomorrow, and they're not really thinking championship. They have not run the full season. Debuted at Road America, had to miss Watkins Glen due to a commitment for Memo. And then back at Sebring, which was an on-points paying event where they were very, very fast, sweeping the weekend there. Charlie Luck working through the GT4 traffic now.
Get back to Gidley. I thought I could hear the car running off some, but maybe just a low RPM there as he trundling back. That was kind of the popping and banging you'd hear from the engine at low RPM.
Back to the overall leader, Brendan DeReeve. If any of you are gamers and you've done the Oculus virtual reality, you've got Brendan to thank for that.
Spin there for the 888, that's Whalen. Another one of the Aston Martins in the field. Boy, has this become a popular choice amongst GT4 competitors.
There we go, TKO Motorsports crew going to work to secure that hood.
Whole thing seems to be loose, even though the clips seem to be in place on the front end. Something's gone amiss with the fastenings there. See those little clips underneath the bib on that they're putting on. They all seem to be in place. So I wonder if he just had a big moment, Ryan, couldn't see momentarily and said, I'm just going to get this thing back to pit lane safely.
That would make sense. Got a shot a moment ago of the grille of the Bentley, and I love the homage to the past with the hand-painted numbers on that big grille at the front of the Bentley. Very reminiscent of the Bentley boys back in the early days of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Bentley has always given that nod to the past with their GT programs over the years.
Rich history, certainly, and great heritage as we see Arib doing a really nice job here. Extended that gap at the front. Now it's up to 13.5 seconds as he comes up on Gray Newell. Newell still holding that gap to around 3 to 4 seconds on Jason Bell, who continues to lead just ahead of these 2 cars. You can see Jason just disappearing 2 corners ahead.
And that was a nice maneuver there, it looked to me, from Gray Newell. He saw the faster car coming and made sure there was a clear way through for Arib. But we talk about it sometimes, especially in multi-class racing. There is an art to being passed and not losing too much time.
Well, A, you don't want to get hit and make it too difficult for a faster car to get by you, but you're right, Ryan, in terms of just a slight breather of the throttle, just cracking that throttle a little bit, allowing that faster car to go by on the right part of the racetrack versus fighting them down into a corner will result in you not losing more time to your competitors.
Brendan Arib appears to be in a class of his own. Looking at his lap times, he was held up a little bit by traffic on that last one, but when he has clean track to work with, he's running within a few tenths of his best lap, which is the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race so far.
You're learning a lot. You're learning about the race car, you're learning about the racetrack, but you're also learning where you can pass GT4 machinery. In the 8-hour race here on Sunday, we have 13 GT4 cars, so Brendan Arib is going to be cutting through traffic just like he is today in a similar fashion, you would have to believe.
Well, go back to last year and how crucial it was for the GT3 cars to negotiate the GT4 traffic. One of the Bentleys was a front runner, and Jordan Pepper had contact, not of his making, but with the GT4 car, and that took them out of contention when early on it looked like that was going to be an entry that everyone else was going to need to deal with. So that's going to be a big part of the race come Sunday.
It certainly will be. It'll be fascinating. Such a massive field. 41 cars will be here for the 8-hour race. 28 GT3 cars. Some running solely in the North American Championship, but many from that big global team. So some of the best GT races in the business will be here.
Huge names, including the winning trio from the Total Energies 24 Hours of Spa earlier this year. They are on site. They are racing together, just part of the massive star power. But even the GT4 field has star power to it. When you're talking about additional drivers like Connor Daly, Jack Hawksworth, Pippa Mann, with significant open wheel experience and big names in their own right. Plus, just up and down some of these GT4 lineups, the pros are very, very strong.
Oh, super strong. Guys like Oberlin and company. It's going to be quite the show. And that GT4 battle, trust me, everyone wants to win that one as well. So there'll be no holds barred. Great racetrack. It's very raceable. I mean, you should be able to coexist with the 2 different speeds from the 2 different classes, but there will be some argy-bargy at some point, you'd have to assume.
Thomas Surgeon, good to check in with him again. It's been something of a quiet season. Hasn't run the full campaign. He did podium in race 1 at VIR. Entered the weekend 15th in the GT4 point standings. This is the Prive Motorsports with Top Racing operation that has done a nice job with this McLaren platform. More from the pit lane now with Amanda.
Well, this spotlight is going to be on CJ Moses. He started from the back of the field all the way up into 8th overall, but a big weekend for the vice president of AWS. They are the sponsor on the 8-hour race here. They are the sponsor on the Fanatec GT World Challenge powered by AWS. It's great to see CJ back in his Mercedes. Joins us since the Music City race in Nashville.
CJ very enthusiastic about his racing, no question about that. As Amanda said, now running 8th overall, 7th in GT3, just behind the GT2 car of Elias Sabo. A lot of experience racing at the club level, at the SCCA runoffs, and has had some success. I think this racetrack last year for him in the TCR car was his best. Had a second and a fourth last year, finished fifth in that championship. So you'd think this would be a place he'd be awfully comfortable.
Super nice guy, big supporter of the racing programs, and kind of jumped around, started in GT4, made the move to TCR, and finally up to GT3. So seems to be really at home in this race car, doing a really solid job here today. His lap times look close to what many of the leaders are running right now.
Beautiful looking livery on this car. That DXDT Racing operation has a couple of different looks for their CrowdStrike cars. This one's got additional AWS branding, given CJ's connections there. And it seems like whatever car they turn out, it always looks sharp. It
does, and it always handles well. You can see how efficiently that Mercedes car is able to eat up some of the curbs here, which will give you a lot of lap time.
Charlie Luck passing the GT4 leader, Jason Bell. That is second overall, passing the leader in the GT4 class. Charlie Luck, the former NASCAR Busch Series, as it was then known, competitor.
What's significant about the gap that Jason Bell is going to create here by winning this race potentially with Quinlan down in third? That'll mean it will only be, if they finish as they do, a long way to go, of course, but if they finish as they are right now, that'll mean it's only a 5-point gap. So if Jason Bell wins tomorrow, there's nothing that Sean Quinlan can do about it in terms of the championship.
And here's the other thing to keep in mind. In these single driver races, it is the fastest race lap that you have that sets the grid for tomorrow, and it looks like Bell has the edge over Quinlan in that by half a second. So that puts Bell exactly where he wants to be. It looks like he's got the fastest lap in the GT4 class as far as I can tell. So starting on pole, knowing that a win, no matter what, gets the job done, that'll send him to bed with a big smile on his face.
It will, but we've talked about the race wins and the you know, the pressure that builds. Well, that's a whole different level tomorrow when you've got a championship on the line as well. We'll see how he deals with it potentially.
Now again, he's got a good one in his ear, and Andrew Davis. He's got all the support system from GMG behind him as well. There is Sean Quinlan.
Oh, this is a problem. Noble way down to the inside, and Surgeon just spins it around. That looked a little bit weird down in the brake zone. Very late in the corner to suddenly lose control.
Looks like some smoke perhaps out of the back. Might it be dropping some fluid? That could have induced the spin.
Yeah, I thought it was a lockup, but maybe he's got a fluid leak, and then consequently when he got down to the corner, yeah, big problem.
He's going to pull that off track, hopefully find a safe area, and we can stay green flag. That's a real shame. He was having one of the better runs of the season. Let's take a look at it again.
See him come in here. And then I wonder if this is what Noble was seeing, and he's just trying to get offline. It looked very bizarre, Noble's approach to that first turn, and he could see the fluid going down ahead of him. Now the rest of the field has got to encounter that as they come around on this next lap.
And the other thing I saw in that replay is Noble put the windshield wiper on.
That's not good.
Right, so I think there must have been some fluid coming up that would necessitate that. Now you wonder how much of that got down on the racetrack. Will that affect others coming through? It seems like we've stayed trouble-free, so hopefully that is the case.
Well, all of these teams are typically in communication via the radio to their drivers. The Reeb runs a little bit wide there, coming through turn 5.
Right now in firm control of this race, a 26-second gap to Charlie Luck. If he could pull this off, this would be his third win in just 5 starts this season and 4th podium. He's not had a finish worse than 4th in GT America through 4 starts so far this year.
Yeah, and I think by cutting his teeth in really top-notch GT racing globally, this kind of takes you to a different level. So certainly his experience, this is super impressive, but as we said before, he's kind of fast-tracking things. Multiple programs, great coaches, great teammates, great teams, and I think he's taken this very seriously. You know, sold his business, and he really wanted to dedicate a quick chat with him earlier this year where I talked about his approach to racing. He said, I just want to give it a couple of years, see how far I can go, and then make a determination of the future beyond that.
Well, early on, it seems like he can go a long way. Finished 4th in the Asian Le Mans Series back over the winter. That's what gave the auto invite to go race at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Been very, very busy with GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup. He's also entered as part of the Pro-Am Challenge portion of Intercontinental GT Challenge. That means he'll be headed on to Kyalami in December, contesting the full IGTC schedule. He raced here in the States, as we've talked about. He's done a couple of other championships, some long distance championships. He's been very, very busy. But that's what you need. If you're starting late, you have to catch up somehow to those that have been going through karting or the junior formulas throughout their career.
You do. It's hard. I mean, particularly, I mean, he's not an old man by any stretch, but you're a little bit later in life than starting the sport as a teenager or even before that. So it's difficult. I mean, there's a lot of really fast drivers that you're trying to compete with and learn the trade and just get it right. But he's done an amazing job so far. I know he's got big plans, and we'll see how he shapes up over the next year or so.
A great look at this beautiful GT2 spec Audi from Elias Sabo.
He's done a great job with this car. This car, as we said before, does not have the downforce, does not have the grip to tackle a lot of these corners that you're thrown at around Indianapolis road course here. So I think his ability to keep it on the island, I mean, these are a rocket ship car, these GT2 cars. Massive horsepower, 650 horsepower on tap, coming down this front stretch here.
And less downforce, like you say. That means less drag as well, but this is where he should suffer relative to the GT3 car he's chasing. That's Jeff Burton, Reardon Racing, currently running 6th in the overall order, 2nd in his Masters class. He came in fighting with Charlie Luck, though, for the overall championship. This is not the result he needed to stay in that picture, however.
Well, the lap times may not put a smile on your face, but I bet the experience does. Trying to manhandle this race car around this track, it's got to be a fun ride.
Yeah, for Elias, no question. Very enthusiastic. And was having a great time on the streets of Nashville until it all stopped rather suddenly, which...
We'll do that on a street circuit.
Yes, that was a tough one. I mean, we saw it was no picnic in the IndyCar race later on that weekend either. So no question for some, especially that really didn't have much street course racing experience coming into the weekend. I thought the GT America drivers put themselves very, very well. Just 3 minutes to go.
Howard's been on the charge here.
Yes.
He's catching Kyle Washington here for 3rd overall.
Took
Lap times, yeah, like over 2 seconds on that last lap. So he has been digging deep. Kyle Washington is going to be on the defense here pretty rapidly unless he can find a rhythm again.
Yeah, these remaining 2 minutes and 50 seconds can't go fast enough for Kyle Washington, who's trying to hold off the challenge from the charging Lamborghini of Jason Harward. This is the fight here for 3rd overall, so the final podium position up for grabs in the final moments of the race.
We've seen this before this year with Jason. Once he finds that rhythm and gets the balance and gets the confidence, suddenly the lap times just get cut dramatically. I think this is a team that's really starting to feel their way with this Lamborghini chassis. He runs with Madison Snow, who's got a ton of experience with this platform in other championships, and he's kind of been leading the way with this relatively new and young team in terms of the setups, and he's done that really well.
Madison has needed to, because this is the first year racing in GT3, first year racing professionally in anything, as a matter of fact, for Jason Harward, and the team led by Ty Isaac is new to this whole thing as well. But you're right, it seems like he can get into that rhythm at the midway point of the race, and it's always he's the one charging when we get down to the final 5 minutes.
The lap times look like here. Well, Washington has responded. His fastest lap was the 38.0 the lap before, when Harwood cut into that gap. It was some 4 seconds slower, and now he's cut a lap back down to the 140 range. So he's going to have to get a little bit defensive and compromising with his line, so he'll probably not be cutting fast laps at this stage. It's all about just hanging on and maintaining that track position.
Time running out. It seems like there should still be 1.5 basically laps left for these two. The overall leader has not taken the white flag.
Oh, big move. Looks to the outside, trying to get the flank on Washington. Washington seems to run really tight on the curb coming through this one. That's turn 6. Watch Harwood trying to set him up here, trying to get that big wide radius off the corner.
Going to maximize the exit from 6A onto Holman Boulevard in the big run to the braking zone of turn 7. White flag flies for Brendan Arib. Washington goes on the defensive. He's got Andy Lally in his ear. That's been his driver coach here this weekend, and spotting as well. I saw Andy in that role earlier in the weekend, helping out as best as he can. But he has his hands full with Jason Harward right behind.
And it's the final lap for Reeb. I believe these fellas have got a lap and a half to go, so Washington's got to try and hang on. Look at Harward trying to take advantage of that traffic there.
That traffic is a team car, albeit in GT4. That is the Zalus GT4 Aston. Both are able to negotiate that without being held up too much, but Harward is right there in the tire tracks, coming around turn 14 to take the white flag.
I've only just recently got to know Kyle Washington. I bet he's loving this battle. Seems like a fun personality.
Background in off-road truck racing. This is something totally different. Down the front straightaway at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Harward comes to the outside late on the brakes, but can't keep it alongside in what might be a slightly more damp portion of this still drying racetrack here on the final lap.
Washington is running that kind of compromised shallow entry at some of these corners. Harward's trying to set him up. Asked a bit too much there, lost it a little bit, lost some valuable time.
And way ahead of that fight is this man, Brendan Reeb, looking for his third win of the season, and he will get it at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Brendan Reeb wins overall in the second to last GT America powered by AWS race of the season.
Battle is still on for P3 overall. Washington, middle of the road, coming down Hellman Boulevard. Harward trying to set him up. Will Washington crack under the pressure here? Just a few corners to go.
This feud is far from settled. There's still a couple of chances, certainly the braking zone for turn 12. Then we've seen that lunge up the inside in turn 13 in other races this weekend, but is Harward going to be close enough?
Washington has really responded. He had that bad lap, so you see Charlie Luck cross the line.
Second overall winner in the Masters class. Harward is close. This is where Washington has to go on the defensive to deprive Harward of the chance to make the lunge. Does the door stay open long enough for Harward? Drag race coming out of turn 14. Porsche versus Lamborghini. Big twitch from Harward coming out onto the front straightaway. Kyle Washington fends him off. Takes the final overall podium position here at Indianapolis for GMG.
That was a great battle. There you see James Safronis. He'll be chuffed with that one. See Memo Gidley back out there with that patched up race car.
And just behind the GT4 leader, Jason Bell. A perfect flag-to-flag drive in the GT4 class. Another win for GMG on the day as well. It is Jason Bell across the yard of bricks, flashes those lights to celebrate, and we've got a championship brawl on our hands headed to the finale tomorrow.
It's going to be tight. I tell you what, as we see Sean Quinlan there coming across the stripe. Finishes third in class, so that'll be a 10-point swing, down a 5-point lead for Sean Quinlan heading into the final round of the championship.
Not an ideal result, but they'll go to work overnight. Stephen Cameron Racing with a lot of smart people on that pit cart. And we've seen them this season make big gains from race 1 to race 2 with those adjustments. They'll need to tomorrow.
Yeah, they've got to find half a second, basically looking at Bell's fastest lap at 145.5 versus a 146 flat. So they got a tweak on that BMW, find some pace, otherwise the championship could disappear on them.
And speaking of fastest laps, Brendan Reeb blitzed the field, a 137.1, although Charlie Luck actually did get close a little bit later on, 8/10 shy of the mark from Reeb, a 137.9.
Gidley in there as well. I think just pipping Charlie to the other front row spot, possibly.
Yeah, great call there. Hopefully he'll be able to take that spot tomorrow. After that was not the case. A solid qualifying effort today, but an issue early put them on the back foot. And looked like they might have recovered, only to have to drop back again with issues with the hood. Provisional race results from the penultimate round of the inaugural GT America season. Brendan Reeb, his third win on the year, and it was a dominant one.
It really was kind of in his own class out here this afternoon, so it'll be great for him to get a bit more info and be tuned up for the big race, the 8 out here on Sunday. There's some great performances throughout this field. That GT4 battle didn't really get as tight as we thought it might. Jason Bell kind of took off, got that track position, would never relent and give it up. Nice run for Gray Newell again. Just really solid performance week in, week out. He's learned a lot this championship year, kind of his debut year in pro racing.
Ray Newell comes home second, which matches his best finish in a points-paying race this season. Watkins Glen race 1 was his only other podium in the GT4 class in GT America this year, as a couple of others, including a win in GT Pirelli GT4 America, going back to earlier in the season. I'm sure there'll be some happy folks to chat with, not just because they won, not just because of the championship implications, but because of the venue. Special place to find Victory Lane.
And you can't celebrate too hard tonight. Another big race tomorrow.
And for many of these teams, an even bigger one on Sunday.
Yeah, looking, Burton there finished second in the Masters class, but he's going to fall further behind in the overall standings behind Luck. So it's going to be a tough order for him tomorrow unless Charlie has a really rough day.
That's the famed Speedway Museum tucked inside the south end of IMS. Saw a couple shots of several of the holes of the famed Brickyard Crossing golf course as well. Some of the wildlife that makes this their home throughout the course of the year. Have you ever played this golf course, Calvin?
I have, yeah, and it's a real treat. I've played it a couple of times, actually, and really enjoyed it. It's a great track.
Pete Dye designed, as a matter of fact. Why don't we hear from our race winners with Amanda?
And he returns to us for the first time since Virginia and picks up the win. And I talked to your team about what makes you so talented. In your opinion, why do you excel so well as a racing driver?
The team. It's all about the team. You put together a great team, and great teams can do great things. And it's a ton of fun. It's been great coaching, and the car's set up so well, and I just can't thank the team, all the officials, everybody out here who's making this possible.
You drive into the track today, you see the pagoda, you see Gasoline Alley. As someone from the United States, what went through your mind?
It's just fun to be here, fun to be in America and race here, and great competition. It's just awesome to be here. Good to see everybody.
Congrats, Brendan.
Thank you.
We'll be seeing more of him tomorrow, I have no doubt, based on that performance here today. That's the car that brought him to the checkered flag. Inception Racing, powered by Optimum Motorsports. That's really the team behind it. Very busy operation. Boss Linders, former Grand Prix driver, is the man who kind of heads up this program, and he's got to be as busy as anyone with all the logistics, all the programs they're doing this year, especially in this day and age. It's amazing they've been able to pull it all off.
It's crazy. It's so much pressure on the travel and the protocols and all of the things that you have to jump hoops through to just be here. And then that's what makes it so satisfying. It's a long journey. When you look at kind of the cobweb of how everyone gets here to a racetrack, that's what makes it satisfying. That's what makes it equally so frustrating and disappointing when you have a bad day, because there's so much effort that goes into play.
But it makes the taste of victory that much sweeter. Brendan Arieb, his third victory on the season. Looks like we'll be hearing from Charlie Luck here shortly, Masters class winner, and doing a bit more to clinch that overall championship as well, Amanda.
Well, from what we're hearing, he has clinched that overall championship right here in Indianapolis. This first time competing here at a track that is just royalty to American motorsports. Charlie, to wrap it up right here in Indy, how significant is that?
Oh, I came here in 1980 with my parents. When the crew and I got here, I said, we're kissing the bricks before the race and hopefully after. Whew! Man, it's such a relief. Thank you.
Charlie, I can hear the emotion in your voice. Why is this so meaningful to you?
Well, I think it's, it's 5 years of work on so many people's part. And, to do this at Indy, I mean, does it get any better than that? I don't think so, So we're just thrilled. And it's been a tough fight all year long. I mean, we have been battling back and forth and had a couple of knockouts that weren't good. And but anyway, I hope it's true. So you're telling me it's true? It's true.
Your inaugural winner in GT America, Charlie Luck.
It's been a great season from him. He's just been remarkably consistent. Always there at the front. Did hit a couple of snags, as he alluded to, late in the season. But you look at the way his year started, and it was death by paper cut for everybody else. Just chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. Never had a bad day.
He didn't have a bad day, and the team excelled. I mean, Wright Motorsports are one of the top-notch operations in our paddock. So hats off to everyone there on a beautiful season they put together.
It was indeed. looking at the Masters points, 25 points remaining on offer tomorrow. So
that's official.
Even my math is good enough to tell you that. Charlie Luck, your inaugural champion in the Masters class. One more interview. Let's go back to Amanda.
And there's only one race that separates Jason Bell from a championship as well. And Jason, you know the task that's going to be ahead of you. What makes you the 2021 champion?
I win tomorrow. It's pretty simple. A win is 7 points more, even if you finish second, so that's what I need to do, and that's what I'm going to do.
You said after Sebring that you thought that you had been in the mind of Sean Quinlan from your performance. Do you think that's still the case?
Yeah, I do. You know, it's unfortunate that Sebring didn't count, but that just made it more challenging. You know, me and Sean are friends, so you know we're going to be nervous tomorrow. I usually am not, but tomorrow will be. But I have the pole, I think. So tomorrow it is.
Down to the wire here in Indianapolis.
Tomorrow it is. Well said, Jason Bell. And
that's the key, though.
Yeah.
That's the key, as championship pressure, not just race-winning pressure tomorrow for him.
Amazing season that he's put together and the charge he's had to get back into that picture where he knows fate is in his own hands at this stage. He wins. There's nothing Sean Quinlan could do. For now, Quinlan still is the points leader by just 5 tallies. Decent day today from Rob Holland. That gives him a cushion over Alex Welch that is insurmountable. So Rob will take the 3rd position in the points. Then Alex Welch, Chris Cognazzi just behind, completing the top 5 in the GT4 standings.
I'll tell you one thing, if Jason Bell wins that championship tomorrow, I don't think we'll see Jason in the car till about hour 7 on Sunday.
Yeah, you might be onto something. Jason's going to be part of that in the 8-hour field as well. Highlights of the first of 2 GT America powered by AWS races here this weekend. It was a delayed start after a wave off early. We did get going, but it was temporary. Matt Rivard spins off into the gravel and can't get out.
Yeah, he got elbowed out there. Then we saw the green flag wave once again. A bit more spread out here on this restart, obviously, but Brendan O'Reilly just dominant from the front. Little moment here for Jeff Burton coming through turn 6, just gets it a little bit wrong on entry, drives through the gravel and continued.
Jeff had to start behind much of the GT4 field, and that was him trying to get back through. Ultimately, Jeff came home 6th overall, 2nd in the Masters class. Charlie Luck making his way by the GT4 leader, Jason Bell. GT3 runner-up in this race, Charlie Luck. This was a scary moment late in the race, an issue mechanically for Thomas Surgeon.
Yeah, some kind of fluid leak there, so you could see the problems coming down in the turn 1 area, turns it around. Fortunately, no one else really got involved, and Ariv was just sensational here today.
Out in front, a dominant win by nearly 37 seconds over Charlie Luck. A crucial win for Jason Bell in the championship, and he is one more win away from being the inaugural GT4 champion in GT America powered by AWS. There's the celebration. That's what victory looks like at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A shot of downtown Indianapolis just to the outside of this historic racing venue. And a perfect setting to wrap up the GT America powered by AWS season. These are the points as far as the overall are concerned, and my math says that that one's clinched too.
Yeah, it's tight, so 28-point lead there, 25 on hand, so another championship for Charlie Luck, 2 for 2.
Clinches the Masters, clinches the overall. Jeff Burton there, 2nd in the overall standings. Jason Harwood coming on strong as the year goes along. And then how about Sofronis and Ariv? Neither of them ran the full season, but when they did run, they were major players in the ultimate outcome.
Well, that was the cool thing about this championship season. 7 different winners on the year. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Reeb looks pretty much unbeatable here, so he'd have to have some issues tomorrow to see that number moving forward.
Some of the most sought-after real estate in this entire venue. If you can get up on that victory rostrum, you've done something right here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's go ahead and hear from the podium.
From Stephen Cameron Racing, your 3rd place finisher driving a BMW, Sean Quinlan. Finishing 2nd, driving for the heart of racing in an Aston Martin Vantage, Gray Newell. And victorious for the GMG Racing Team in an Aston Martin Vantage, Jason Bell.
Top 3 in GT4 standing on the podium. You heard Jason allude to the fact he and Sean are friends. Does that friendship go out the window tomorrow?
I think it has to. Because they're going to be close to each other on the grid, but Jason has that pole position. That'll be key. It's going to be a long night for him. He's got to think on a championship going his way tomorrow. That's a big day for him.
Who has more pressure going into tomorrow?
Oh, Bell.
Jason Bell?
Yeah, I think he does because he's got it all to win. He knows if he wins the race, it's his. I think Sean Quinlan, he's won championships before, so he'll be feeling pretty light about it. He'd love to be in a stronger position going into tomorrow, but I think the weight is on Jason Bell's shoulders.
Hard to find 2 more improved drivers in this paddock over the last 3 seasons than those 2.
It's fun to watch, to see these guys come in and learn the craft, have great co-drivers, coaches, and just get it to this level where they're so consistent, running really competitive lap times, and enjoying their racing so much.
Podium celebrations continuing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll be welcoming out several of the GT3 teams and drivers here momentarily. Trophies being stacked up once again. It's a busy weekend of racing this weekend. If you're in the Midwest and you can make the trip, we certainly encourage you to do so. If not, we'll have the coverage for you on GT World throughout the course of the weekend, of course, culminating with Sunday's Indianapolis 8-hour presented by AWS. But still a lot on the docket tomorrow, including qualifying for that race as well as pre-qualifying. We'll talk more about that schedule in a moment, but back to the podium.
Finishing second in the Masters category for Reardon Racing and Lamborghini, Jeff Burton. And victorious for Wright Motorsports in the Porsche 911 GT3R, Charlie Luck. Well done to our GT2 winner, Elias Sabo, and our Masters podium finishers, Jeff Burton and Charlie Luck. Wonderful job on the photos, and now it's time to spray the champagne.
The champagne spray. Charlie Luck clinching a couple of championships here today. The Masters as well as the overall Elias Sabo winner in GT2. Nice show of camaraderie there between Charlie Luck and Jeff Burton. They've raced each other hard on a number of occasions this season.
That's really cool to see. I love that.
And big smiles on both of their faces. Looking ahead to what's to come tomorrow, pre-qualifying for the 8-hour, 90 minutes on track starting at 8:30 in the morning local time. That's Eastern time here in the U.S. Race 2 of the weekend for GT America, powered by AWS, comes your way with a green flag scheduled for 12:05 p.m. Eastern time. Then we get to qualifying for the Indianapolis 8-hour. 3 different drivers will qualify. That's the format starting at 2 o'clock. Which leads directly into TC America Race 2, which will settle a number of championships, followed by pole shootout for the 8-hour.
Racing in a Porsche, Kyle Washington. Finishing second for Wright Motorsports, also in a Porsche 911 GT3R, Charlie Luck. And your victor in the overall category for Inception Racing in a McLaren, Brendan Areeb. Well done. Let's grab those trophies, hold them up nice and high. Well done. All right, guys, you know what time it is. Spray the champagne.
Did Charlie get a second bottle of champagne, or did he have to save some in reserve for this second podium?
He deserves the second one for sure.
I'd say so. Stands second as far as the overall results are concerned. Brendan Areeb, big smile on his face. He'll try and do it all over again tomorrow. And Kyle Washington, we kind of called him out a few times during the race for the performance he put on. Brings it home third, held off that charge from Harward late as we celebrate the Drivers' Championship. Charlie Luck holds that placard on high.
That means a lot. You could tell
Yes.
from the emotion in the interview with Amanda. That's a pretty cool day for him.
It's been a brilliant day of racing here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll do it all over again tomorrow. Don't miss GT America, powered by AWS. Race number 2 coming up tomorrow here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.